Kim is working on chapter 2, so can't really do an MCS for a chapter 1, so it's important to see how a chapter 1 fits into your overall narrative. But since it's a chapter 2, I'm going to ask you to lead off with your MCS, please.
So a long time ago, the demoness Ammit was the devourer of unworthy souls in the Egyptian underworld. But now she's a myth and must reside in the realm where all entities of mythology now reside. It might not be so bad if she had some sort of support structure, but the gods do little to make her feel welcome due to their longstanding prejudice against demons. So feeling useless, feeling powerless, and at her lowest, Ammit meets the mysterious goddess Lamashtu, who claims she wants to help all demons gain respect among the gods, but needs Ammit's help in order to do so. So desperate for purpose and community, Ammit joins her cause. And it starts off well enough. She makes some demon friends and learns that she is way more powerful than the gods have led her to believe. She learns that her soul-devouring abilities don't just work on mortals, but they work on gods too. Unfortunately, she doesn't realize that Lamashtu only wanted to exploit this newfound power until it's too late. So desperate to prove to the realm, and more importantly herself, that she is not a monster, Ammit uses her voice rather than her destructive power to convince the demons and gods to join forces to fight against Lamashtu's tyrannical rule. Their fight is successful, Lamashtu is defeated, proving that gods and demons can coexist in the realm, but more importantly, Ammit discovers purpose and community. The end.
We can't hear you.
Sorry. That was a picture-perfect MCS, and that came in at 1 minute and 29 seconds, so you get balloons. Very good, Kim. So let's ask some basic questions to start. Did this story, chapter you guys read, align with the story that Kim just told? Any no votes? So all nods. Was the orientation at the top enough, and was the continuation with the previous chapter clear? By and large, okay. And then lastly, was there enough story in this chapter to be worth a full chapter? Okay, so we're pretty good, right off the bat. So let's have Ariel lead comments, please.
Yay. Oh my gosh, Kim, when I first started your story, when I joined the group, I think I started like chapter 14. So it's really cool to actually be back at the beginning and to see how it's like all starting. Gosh, your chapter flows are always just so good. There's just such a like rhythm to it, and it's just so easy to read. The internality is amazing for Ammit, and I just like everything's really vivid too. Like your descriptors, I can just really see where everything is always at. My orientation just feels very steady, like the whole time. I thought it was a really great chapter. Again, I feel like the stakes were made and like the decisions were put there, and like I really liked Ammit at the end being like, no, I'm not going to do it. But obviously now she's like thinking about like, but maybe I do want to do it. It was really, I just really loved that. It felt so good. And I think just the one thing I kind of just have a question on, I don't necessarily think this is like, it's like more just up to you. The world building is so amazing. I mean, just like knowing that you're so knowledgeable of like mythology and everything, it's like this is such a unique thing for you because there's so much I don't know. And so it's really cool to like see all the elements you've put in. And I think I was just wondering a bit about like the tone of like, is it going to be like the comedy forward, or is it going to be like a drama with like comedic moments and elements? Because it seems like the setup of the world lends to like it being comedic. I know that from the first chapter, I didn't quite see it as often. There's moments in this chapter, like Anubis went to go for his gig or something. It was really funny. I liked the type of gig that was. But did feel more like it was a drama with some comedic elements. So I was thinking of like The Good Place, how like every piece of that world is just absurd and satirical. And your world has that, and also seems to have like some grounded in like true to form elements for like mythology. So I think I was kind of kind of trying to figure out, are we going full on satirical with the world, or are we kind of doing like half and half? Or I think, and again, I think it's just a choice for you what you envision for it. But I think I'm in the state of like, are we going to go full on satirical world building, or being more historically accurate? And I think because you do have so much knowledge, it would be just so fascinating to see what it would look like if it was just like all like very satirical world building, because you have so much knowledge. I feel like people with the knowledge of things are really the only ones who can pull it off. So yeah, that was kind of like my question of just like the tone and comedy and things like that.
Very good, Ariel. Thank you. So that's a really pertinent question, right? And I think the good place is a good yardstick for this, Kim. So come back and talk to that when you give us your thoughts. Thank you, Ariel. Justin.
Yeah, Kim, I'm right there with Ariel as someone I think who came in around chapter 16 or 17. It's been really nice to go back and get context now for some other stuff down the line. And I also, my first note was that you have wonderful use of imagery and descriptors. Every single time you describe something, I can see it plain as day. It's fantastic. I wrote down, the question is Ammit's superiority on purpose. Does it come from being around the gods for as long as she feels that she's better than this kappa? And if that is intentional, that it's very much there. I like kind of don't like her at the moment, like, because I just love Isamu so much. So it's like, you know, to some extent she's got this hypocritical kind of I don't know, nature to her. But I wrote this down too, is that the phrase being told you're one of the good ones is a very awful phrase. And if in the context of whether it's race or whatever that is, someone not hearing it as racism can warp someone's mind to the side of the oppressor. And I feel like that is Ammit's kind of deal in the beginning of this, where she's like, you know, been around the gods for so long, where they're like, demons suck, but you're good, you know, kind of thing like that, that she has this warped perspective of herself. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's exactly what you're going for, but that's how it's coming off. And if that is what you're going for, it's wonderful. I think it's a great place to start for this character based on where we get to later on in the book. It shows notes of a really cool arc and growth that's to come. Let me see. I said, does Ammit know any other way to eat other than like a dog? Like, is that something that's in world? Like when Isamu brought that up about like, oh yeah, like, well, you know, your friend feeds you like a dog. I was like, well, she does exist on 4 legs, and I don't know how much. Like I started thinking about the intricacies of the world, and I was like, okay, well, is the realm built around the gods who are probably humanoid, and so is it mostly accessible to humanoid beings? Because that's something interesting that I thought about, and if that's something that you bring up in future chapters as like a mark of inequality, you know, like just laced within that society, I think that's great. But it was something that I definitely as a reader thought about in this chapter when you brought that up, because I just started thinking about the fact of like, man, that really fucking sucks. Like, sorry for the language, but like it like that would suck to live like that, especially as a you know, a sentient being, and feeling like you have to be reliant on someone else to get your water, to get your food, anything like that. The only other thing that I said was I would have liked maybe one more sentence at the end of this chapter to show a little more intention as to what the next move is. I like you mentioned that you know, she has to tell someone, but that Anubis is not, is not someone that she can reach out to right now. So I kind of would have liked just one more intentional, what's next, what's her plan of attack, and if I'd had that, I think it would have been honestly a perfect chapter. So great work.
Good, thank you, Justin. We'll come back to a couple of those points. Cece.
Yes. Just to mirror what Justin and Ariel also said, I think I came in around the same time as Justin. So getting I got chapter 1, I think, before the holiday, and then to get the second one, it's just been really interesting, like especially the world building. It's super unique. I really enjoy it. And we're getting like such a good insight like to her life and like what it looks like in terms of before she like really makes her decision to change, and as well as her like internal processing. I think you do a really good job with, because it's told specifically from her perspective. I really know this character like really well, and even considering that this is a second chapter, I also do know her really well, and it's again so early on in the story. I think you do a really good job of like showing and not telling the reader. There was this instance where she was like, I don't remember if it was a poster or like a replica or a painting, but she was like looking at it, and then it actually demonstrated what her job used to be when she worked for the gods. And it was such like a very quick, concise, artfully well done way of like demonstrating that to the reader, but also invoking emotion along with her. So it was just completely natural. You gave a great insight into the demons and their dynamic with the gods, specifically with like her prejudice towards demons. And then like, I have to do this thing. I have to capture, like this demon should be in chains, like even with her internal thoughts about it. And then the other note that I was going to make, I thought it was really well done. I like thought it was bizarre that she was eating from the floor. And I was like, well, she has a hippopotamus bum, like her body is just different. So like maybe that's how she eats. But I had noted it, but then it came back later in the chapter. And then I was like, oh, it was like a full circle moment for the reader to like, we were supposed to kind of have a light bulb moment. And then kind of, like she thinks a friend like puts her like, I don't know, a very interesting thought to have. Pace was great. You do a really good job in all of your chapters too, where the tension like slowly builds. And then there's the like boom moment. And I was like waiting for her to like fight this demon and like, I guess have like that switch where she like made the choice to like have action, and she did, which I loved. And I really had no feedback. Like I kept trying to think about things, and I really I feel bad, but I don't have anything to offer. Like I was trying to find a world building question, couldn't find that. So I know what she's doing next. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Praise in the form of identifying what's working is just as useful as whatever the opposite of praise is to identify what's not working. And continuing, this is a good chapter because because Kimberly has already put in a lot of the work. Right? So this is a very polished version, as you can see from the minimal complete story she just told. Great minimum complete story. We would expect this to be a great chapter, and it is, right? It's doing its job. So what we're talking about is sort of quibbles to increase its impact, to really get that emotion and really satisfy the reader, and to build that momentum. So the only thing I'm going to focus on was two things we already brought up, which is I get that she's eating like a dog, and this kind of ties into the first thing I noticed, which is she's in Anubis's bed, kind of, and that sort of made me think that she and Anubis were hooking up. But that's not the case. I had to go back and read it more carefully, and then I realized she was sleeping on the floor. She was a dog, in a sense. So you have to make that a bit clearer. And then that ties to another issue, which is I didn't get a sense of what Isamu looked like. He's an important character. The only line I got was, to beat Isamu, all you had to do was spill the water contained inside a deep depression atop his head. Like, that's an amazing thought, right? But it needs a lot more context. It needs a lot. We need a better sense of what Isamu looks like, as well as Ammit, before these things will pay off. So the plug here is Dungeon Crawler Carl, and the author, Matt Dinneman, does an extraordinary job of bringing into a world of really freaky characters and then making that freakiness pay off. And you're close. So you can read that and just add a little bit more so the reader gets a clear picture, and then in retelling they can describe it so that the dog thing pays off even more than it does. And then Isamu pays off again even more than it does. So the thing I would think about, and this kind of ties in with the idea that we need a little bit more direction at the end, is the continuity. So the continuity is good. So notice in the first chapter, she rejects the evil one's offer, Lamashtu, and in this chapter, she rejects the offer of the evil one's assistant, Isamu. So the question I would ask you to think about a little bit more is the nature of the rejection different in the second chapter? Is it coming from a different place? Right? She's rejected it immediately. Now she's had a chance to think about it. The reader would expect, as in life, that the rejection is going to be a little more thought out and it's going to come from a different place. And we have this good dialogue with Isamu about whether or not she should accept the evil offer. But think about it a little bit more deeply and whether or not the foundation of that rejection is better grounded. Or it could come from a different place, right? More emotional in the first instance, more thoughtful and cognitive in the second instance. But, great chapter, Kim. Not great. So let's hear your thoughts.
Yep, no, that was, as always, super helpful. When I wrote that chapter, I had to actually go back and add the comedy because I realized I didn't really put anything in it. So I definitely need to kind of keep playing around. I think sometimes what I struggle with is because this is so grounded. I mean, I take some creative liberties, but because this is so grounded in a lot of mythology, I'm trying to appease the mythologists of the world, and so I'm forgetting to add that satire and that comedy and all that other kind of stuff, because it's I feel like sometimes we can be a very snooty bunch and we're that's not right, and I'm it's mythology, guys, come on. So it's just that balancing act of making sure I'm still honoring the mythologies and these stories appropriately, but adding in that satire and that fun and everything like that. And I'm actually happy that you brought up The Good Place, Ariel, because right now, as far as my comps go, I'm telling people it's a mix of The Good Place, American Gods, and Has Been Hotel, all spun in there. So that made me really happy that one of my comps is actually landing with somebody. So, and two, I'm so happy the dog thing landed with everybody because I wanted that too. She's treated like a pet, and I kind of want that to kind of really shine through about how, Anubis cares for her, but doesn't have that respect that she's so desperate for. So yeah, it just, like I said, I'm happy that the things that I want to land are landing. So thank you guys a lot. That's really helpful.
So one follow-up, honoring the Babylonian
The
experts,
mythologists of the world.
the mythologist.
Yeah.
How many are there, right? 2? I don't know.
12. I don't know.
12. So, we're talking about the value that Kim is delivering to the reader. The balance should tilt in the favor of the not 12 Babylonian mythology experts, right? So that's where to put your time, effort, and especially words.
Mhm.
funny, and it is funny. So just don't be, I'm not saying don't be concerned about Babylonian mythology. We all know how important it is to our everyday lives. What I'm saying is don't be concerned with Babylonian mythology so much. You've got more than enough of that it shines through. So let's drop that almost completely from your thoughts because it's already there and focus on the funny.
Mhm.
All right. Again, great job, Kim. Great chapter.
Bardsy delivers the tools, guidance, and support you need to produce compelling novels. Our well-researched and thoroughly tested approach includes our minimum complete story, a 90-second exercise that keeps your writing on track while fueling creativity. Bardsy Publishability Index, a 23-dimension checklist that offers attainable goals and provides actionable feedback. And our brand new comprehensive character developer that helps you construct unforgettable characters. Come see for yourself at Bardsy.com today. Try our workshop or enter our first chapter contest. Then, when you're ready, Elite Membership delivers writing groups, personal coaching, and a curated community. With Bardsy, your work will captivate everyone, from agents to publishers, and, most importantly, your readers.